we would be down in a hole. We were actually under the floor, and there was a hole cut out in the floor. So Frank could stick his arm up through the floor into the puppet, and once you're in, you're stuck. You can't move. We're under the floor with monitors, and you hear Erwin Kirshner yelling, "Yoda! Yoda, can you just move about a foot to the left?" And we're going,
Onstar ready.
Our guest today is Kathryn Mullen, a puppeteer who worked with the Muppets, played the lead in The Dark Crystal, and was even a part of the team that brought Yoda to life in The Empire Strikes Back. I'll be asking her questions coming in live from Verge readers over the Onstar built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. She's currently waiting for us outside her New York apartment. So Kathy, where are we going?
Neil, we are going to the Museum of the Moving Image. Right now, the reason we're going is because they're doing an exhibit of the Muppets.
What was your involvement with them?
I was a puppeteer, about 10 years. Well, I came to New York, and I was working with a children's theater company.
Okay.
We only worked during the school year. So in the summer, I was always, searching around for something to do.
Sure.
And my friend, she was the head of Puppeteers of America, which is the big puppetry organization.
Of course.
By that time, they were doing a big festival, and her co-chair was Jim Henson, the creator of the Muppets. And she said, hey, if you need a summer job, they're about to do their movie. I can get you into the shop. The Muppet movie.
That was the first one?
That was the first one.
You're doing the voices, and then you're also doing the hand movement, or...
The way we have always done puppetry, the actor, the performer, does the voice and the acting, and manipulates the dolly, as we always used to call it, at the same time. So you're manipulating the puppet, and we're working above our heads.
Sure.
And we're on camera. So the only way to see what you're doing is to have a monitor, because you can't see through the eyes of the camera.
Right.
And if you're looking up at your puppet, and the camera's here, and you're looking, the puppet doesn't do...
A lot going on.
We have to know what the camera is seeing in order to have it look right. So you can see exactly where your puppet is in the frame, where it's looking, and all of that. And the other thing was, you couldn't flip a monitor, so it became a mirror image. So if you walked your puppet to the left, on screen it went to the right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And vice versa. Jim was very bound and determined to have a woman, a real woman, do this part in Dark Crystal because he wanted it to be real. He didn't want it to be a joke. I mean, the whole thing about Dark Crystal, interesting enough, to segue, that's the reason the Muppets did Yoda the first time. Yoda was, again, part of the research and development for Dark Crystal. And Frank, who was going to be directing and playing a part in the Dark Crystal, went over to perform Yoda, and one of our puppet builders went there to advise and, tell their special effects team how to make a puppet that worked.
So in the Dark Crystal, how many of those did you play? Are you playing the one
I played
female?
the one character, the main character. It was the Muppet team plus a lot of extra people that were brought in and trained for a year, 2 years. I mean, there was a whole team of mimes and acrobats that were brought in to learn how to do these characters called the mystics.
Right.
Which they had to do literally squatting down with their heads down and their hands stuck out like this with the head of the character on the here.
Wow.
And it weighed a ton. Can you imagine what that would have taken?
Holding your arm like that the entire time.
Yes.
I mean, those characters are iconic, and I think they've lasted even till this day to be iconic.
Mind you, you have to realize it's riding on the nostalgia wave, as these things do. Maybe it'll catch and have a new life.
Right.
I hope so. The thing that the Muppets did all those years was both funny, silly, and very kind-hearted. There was no nastiness in there. The comedy was... It was a silly comedy. Certainly, Fraggle Rock was invented for that reason. It was to teach, let's get along, look at the world and how it's connected.
Sure.
Basically, that's what it was invented to show.
Who's your favorite Muppet of all time?
I always loved Frank's characters. He was my role model. If I was gonna copy anybody, it was gonna be Frank. Try to learn his manipulation. It was so fluid and wonderful, and he's a very funny man. Whether he's got a puppet on his arm or not, he's funny. Just a funny guy. Very dry. I'll never forget, we were on a roller coaster at Disney World, and Frank and Jim were in the front car for this ride, this roller coaster ride, and Frank goes, "Okay, Bert, here we go." So the characters just become part of they don't need to think about it. The characters just come out and do what that character does. I think that's true of any actor who does characters. When we did the first day shooting, and we got into the dailies afterwards, and suddenly Yoda comes on for the first time, and he bounces in like Miss Piggy or everybody else, and Frank goes, "Oh my God." And we both went, "I don't think so." Everybody was so used to these large movements because it was silly stuff. And so what we discovered first off, right away, was you have to take it down, way down, much more than you can even imagine. I mean, you're doing nothing, just like a movie actor has to do a lot of time.
Kathy, it looks like we're here.
Thank you very much for that lovely ride, and I hope you guys will take yourself to this museum.